Zach Gelb is on the Toyota of Hollywood hotline. You can hear Zach Gelb nationally every weekday on the Infinity Radio Network. Listen, I know it's been a while since the Panthers actually disposed of your New York Rangers, but we haven't talked to you since. So, and we tried to pepper you with some texts and some tweets from listeners. Solana trolled you a little bit on social media. What is your reaction to the Rangers getting bounced by the Panthers? And what has been New York fans' reaction to getting bounced by the Panthers?
Before I answer that question, real creative, Hawk, on what you brought me in with. You know, you're doing the same radio bit for the last 30 years. Anytime an opposing team loses, you bring on their, one of their fans or one of those media members, and you play the same song. Like, I would expect you to be a little bit more with the times here, okay?
I mean, this guy's a pretzel. He's a little salty. Go ahead.
What's my reaction?
Yeah.
Well, when Solana didn't care about hockey 2 months ago and I came on this show and I said the Panthers are the best team in the league and I said they should get to the Stanley Cup final, I guess I couldn't be surprised with what happened, but the reaction is with how great Igor Shesterkin played, and he was the best player in the series, and he's the only reason why this got to 6 games because the Panthers should have swept them. The reaction is we're furious with Chris Kreider, Artemi Panarin, and Mika Zibanejad for not having a pulse in this series and showing up and at least forcing a Game 7. So I'm annoyed. I'm not happy.
But the Panthers, as we head into the Stanley Cup Finals, they're favorites over Edmonton. You watched, and you watched the Panthers this postseason and throughout the season. Mm-hmm. What makes them so good? Forget about Panarin not showing up and what makes the Panthers so good?
They're 4 lines deep. They are a complete hockey team. They are physical. They control the puck and they dominate the time in the opposing team zone. And they have a goalie who, ever since coming to Florida, he has taken his game to a consistent, great level. I have all the respect in the world for the Florida Panthers, even though at times they will hit way after the whistle, even after the games end. They will hit after the games do end, but they're everything you want in a hockey team.
And Gelb, with the whole this is the defense versus offense thing, where the Panthers are built around defense and the damn Oilers can score. They, two of the best scorers in the league. Is it the defense wins championships approach? Like, that's what I love. I'm a defensive guy.
I think the difference in this series, and I know Stuart Skinner, their goalie, was sensational up against the Stars, who are a 4-line deep team. I thought the Stars were going to be better and beat the Oilers. I just think the difference is the goaltending. Like, you go back to the Rangers and the Panthers. The Rangers have, I think, the best goalie in the league, but Bobrovsky isn't some bum. Like, he's a great goalie. So the Rangers have an advantage over everyone, and it's by a wide margin, the goaltender department. But for this series up against the Panthers, it wasn't by a wide margin, and they couldn't really ever test Bob. And if they did test Bob, he made great saves. So I wouldn't even say it's just offense against defense, because the Panthers' offense is incredible. They are just such a well-rounded, complete team. But Crowder, I will say this. I know why you will be rooting for the Oilers in this series. You have any reason why?
Ain't no way in the hell.
No, you're rooting for the Oilers because there will be a pivot interview with the beautiful woman that is the Oilers fan that was flashing her tatas to the fans. And I bet you once you see that video, Channing Crowder will be an Oilers fan.
What's going on?
You haven't seen this video? Now, I probably have watched this on Twitter more than anything I've ever watched because she doesn't seem like she's a pro. She doesn't seem like she was an OnlyFans star looking for some pub. Looked like she got caught up in the moment, giggled at her friend, and this thing went viral. Do you know that she has yet to be identified?
And
this does not happen in today's day and age in the internet where you can identify anyone. She has yet to be identified.
And not only that, because I'm an expert in this department, and I think everyone was distracted by 2 big things. That was after Game 5 when that video went viral. Game 5 was on the road in Dallas. This is clearly in Edmonton. So either this was from earlier in the season or it was at a watch party.
It was at the watch party. It was. Okay. Listen, I have researched this more than the government has researched the Zapruder film for the Kennedy assassination because I want to find this woman. It was at a watch party at the Edmonton Arena.
So think about this. I am not a big watch party guy. maybe I should become a big watch party guy because that wasn't even at an actual game.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, you get carried away in emotion and you pull out your private parts. I don't understand this concept.
Tremendous. I hope this sweeps the nation.
Hey,
40
Gelb,
million views on Twitter.
It's unbelievable.
I
Really?
haven't seen this video. And Gelb, you say Crowder is going to be rooting for the Oilers. I'll come out on the record. I could be swayed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Also,
I'm fascinated with her because I really don't, sometimes remember there was a woman at the Panthers game who did that. She put him up on the glass, but it came out that she was with one of these sites, and they were looking to, they were looking to get pub. I just think this was a genuine moment by this woman who was rooting for the Oilers.
you know what should happen? Kodak should invite that woman to the luxury box.
Oh, I'm sure he has sent out as many feelers as he can.
Want the video.
See if we can
Can I
turn her
bring one
into
more
a
thing to the
Panthers fan.
table today, by the way?
Sure.
So, I like to read a lot about the media business, and I saw that Solana had a little kerfuffle with a manager at a bar because they wouldn't put on the Panthers game. Now, I don't know what's more non-believable here. Solana being at a bar wanting to watch the Panthers game or the manager not putting the actual game on.
He is sticking to his guns that you're not a Panthers fan. No, that happens all the time. Doesn't that happen up in New York? You walk into a sports bar and you want to watch a certain game. Maybe it's now down here, Panthers. I mean, this was an elimination game, but think up there in New York. Maybe it's it's not the biggest game of the week. Maybe it's a Villanova game or a St. John's or something. And you ask someone, can you put that on? And they look at you like you have asked them to reroute a cruise ship off the shipping lanes. Like
if that was for game 6, like if it's a smaller game, I agree. It's sometimes difficult. But if that was for a game 6 and Solana was in New York, there would have been a riot going on.
If the game wasn't on.
Yeah. Oh, a riot. And the restaurant would have got 0-star reviews, 1,000 of them the next day.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think it is a little bit of a statement on South Florida.
Also, I would just like the record and all the listeners to be known because I never lied to the listeners and I just want them to be truthful. I didn't get a text from Solana after game 6 and I was surprised. And I just wonder, was he actually locked into the game? Because sources tell me he wasn't. Sources tell me he saw the last 3 minutes.
Alana, would you like to respond? You're apparently the biggest Panthers fan, and Gelb is saying that everything adds up to you not having even seen the closeout game.
Hey, blame that loser manager from Regatta in the Grove. Okay, Gelb, not my fault. And I did have it on an iPhone, but I mean, how can you watch a Panthers game on an iPhone?
Gelb watched it on an iPhone. He was at UFC 302.
Computer.
Brought a computer. On an iPhone.
Brought a computer.
Gelb, you said something that was interesting. You said 1,000 bad reviews. Do you review? I hate reviewers.
I'm not a big reviewer, but I understand the culture behind it. I will actually go out of my way if I go to a restaurant and have a great experience to leave a positive review because a lot of times people only give negative reviews. So if I do give reviews, I'm fair.
I've become a big reviewer, but I only do positive reviews. If I had a bad experience, I just wouldn't review it. But these restaurants, especially the mom and pops, like they need this stuff. Yeah. Or like, we've been fixing up the new apartment, had a glass company in, had a tile company in. These are mom and pops.
Yeah.
And so you want them to get good reviews because I go off Google reviews. I look at that.
The only time I will give a really bad review if you really get screwed over. Like I once had to send my laundry out and they lost an entire bag of laundry. And then the owner gave me attitude. And that was the one time I left just a really nasty
How did he give you attitude? Like what, how could he turn that around on you?
When I asked for a refund after 4 months of not getting refunded, he's like, sir, you have to have a little bit more patience. 4 months.
Was it dry cleaning or was it laundry?
Full bag of laundry. There was for a week in my building, the laundry service wasn't working, so I had to send it out.
And he acknowledged that they lost it?
Yes. They said we're still trying to find it. They were just trying not to pay me.
Okay, so he thought he might find it though.
No, they never found it. Come on. That's like Solana trying to actually find the hockey game.
All right. Let me ask you this. So, because I'm fascinated by this, because obviously Rangers fans thought the Rangers, were destined for a cup. You win the President's Trophy, and I think a lot of people feel this way about the Celtics when it comes to the NBA. If the Celtics don't win the title this year, what? And then I want to give you a part 2. If the Panthers don't win the Stanley Cup this year, what?
If the Celtics don't win a championship, it is a failure, and Jason Tatum, regardless of how he plays, is going to get shredded. I think Jason Tatum gets disrespected, but he'll get shredded if they lose this. The Panthers, if they don't win this, it would be, don't get me wrong, it'd definitely be disappointing. But I think that it's going to be because Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, McDavid's the best player in the league. Leon Draisaitl's a top 5 player in the league. It will be just because they're that great. But the Panthers have a very good core. It's tough to get to Stanley Cup final in back-to-back years. So you just wonder if they'll be able to get through another long run next year. But they have a great team.
And with the Mavs, if they do, because I'm a Celtics guy, Gelb, like Solana and Hawk already bet on the damn
I have
Mavs.
money all over the Mavs.
I think they're underestimating the Celtics because the East was weak, but it doesn't have anything to do. They lost 2 games in the playoffs. Like, come on, they're a good team. The Mavs, is Kyrie or Luka going to be the biggest part of their, not even if they win, but of their team as they compete? Is Kyrie or Luka going to be the guy?
It needs, Kyrie's the most valuable player for the Mavs. Now, he's not the best player. Luka is better. Luka is a top 5 player in the league. But Luka is going to be great night in and night out. Kyrie will either give you 36 or he'll give you 15. He needs to give you like 4 of those performances, like what we saw in that closeout game, and I think it was game 5 or game 6, whatever it was, where he matched Luka's point production.
33-33, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think they each had 36.
It was 36. Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Kyrie had double high. Hawk would get that one.
So you say
Kyrie loves people like myself and Hawk.
Uh-huh.
I'm sure he was gunning for the double high.
You say you think Jason Tatum is disrespected. I would imagine you believe Tatum and Brown are the best duo in the series,
No.
superior than Luke and Kyrie. No.
No, I said this going into the conference finals, that the best duo remaining, I think you were splitting hairs, but the best duo remaining was Luka and Kyrie. Kyrie's locked in. And that's when Kyrie's locked in, he's a top 10 player in the league.
So why doesn't this all add up to a Mavs victory? What am I missing here? Everyone seems to say the same thing.
Porzingis?
I'll give you that. He is a big X factor. I will give you
Drew
that.
Holiday, Derek White.
And then they're going to yell. Then you yell lively. Somebody yelled lively at me the other day. I wanted to smack him in his face. I say Porzingis, Drew Holiday, and you yell lively at me.
Porzingis does make a big difference. I'm with you on that one. And if
Drew Holiday does, he's a championship-winning player.
Mavericks.
If Drew Holiday was on the Miami Heat, Hawk, you would be the biggest Drew Holiday fan. He's the player that you love.
I don't know about that.
Also, what's the verdict on Tua Tagovailoa? Because when I first saw him, I thought he was gaining weight. And then I read that he lost weight, and I finally did see it.
He's skinny.
Tua Tagovailoa does not look like a quarterback right now. I'll tell you that.
He
It
looks
like
very
he's getting ready to surf.
skinny, right? Looks very skinny.
Yeah, I thought he's ready to go play soccer instead of football, if I'm being honest.
My point is that adds an element to his game. He can take off now. He's not, he's what, 10 or 15
Do we want him
lighter?
taking off, though?
Yes.
Will
absolutely.
jiu-jitsu help him taking off
Absolutely.
when he gets hit?
This whole narrative about, he's so fragile and you don't want him taking off. Like, this dude, he is a big boy. He is a football player. He's not this delicate flower that Brian Flores painted him to be.
Remember, I said last year he was going to make it through the entire season healthy, but I will say, after seeing the new look Tua, kind of out on the Dolphins this year.
Really?
Yeah, just kind of out on them.
But he has to be heavy to be able to take a hit.
Right. That doesn't make any sense. There's
I don't know. I just looked at him and I said, I don't think he's going to be a top 5 quarterback this year. Wouldn't pay him.
Do you have that same feeling when you look at Solana?
Please. Tua runs circles around Solana.
Solana just hit 30. It's downhill now.
Yeah,
boy.
Solana just turned 30.
Oh, geez. I'm not looking forward to that coming up in 2 months from now.
Well, look how good he looks.
Not at all.
He looks like the Rangers. He looks like Mika Zibanejad. This is very therapeutic today.
You got
I've been smiling like a few days.
Out. You got it all out.
I was ranting, raving, going nuts. On Sunday, may or may not have taken a gummy and then ordered a fat Italian sandwich. I was depressed on Sunday. Depressed.
It is going to be, this Stanley Cup Finals, though, is going to be fun, right? With Barkov out there, McDavid out there.
Yes.
Like, this is going to be a fun Stanley
I can't
Cup
wait
final.
for Barkov up against McDavid in the Stanley Cup final. Maybe if the Panthers make it for a third straight year, Hawk would know it's Stanley Cup final, not Stanley Cup finals.
It's finals.
That's a hockey snob thing.
Listen,
I was just being a jerk there.
Well, I'm just saying we've been there several times. You may not remember. So it is Stanley Cup finals.
Are you guys going? This big hockey show? Are you guys going?
We're doing the show there on Monday. We'll be doing the show Monday at Sunrise.
Are you going to the game? I'm asking. Because this show is notoriously known for doing the show at the stadium and then not going to the game.
Yeah, listen,
well, you say you may or may not take a gummy. I may or may not just hang around and figure out how I could sneak into a box.
Let me confirm. I took a gummy. So now I answer the question.
I love my couch.
Let me confirm. I'm going to sneak into one of these damn boxes somewhere.
We had
fair.
We had Gary Bettman on with us last season when the Panthers were in, and I'm sure he'll stop by again. And we tried to work our way. This is a shocking admission by Bettman. Mm-hmm. We tried to work our way into his suite. Do you remember what he told us, Crowder, when we asked him about going into his suite?
No.
You remember Solana?
What, he sits in the stands?
Doesn't have a suite. Sits in the stands.
You know what? I know Gary Bettman. That's Gary Bettman just lying to you. He was being a nice guy.
I said that. I
wanted to let you down easy.
I said there's no chance that this guy is just sitting in 2 seats in the stands.
Well, and I think
he might have 2 seats and sit there for a little bit. But he absolutely has a suite to duck into.
And also, you're a commissioner and people are drunk. Everyone usually likes to slam the commissioner. I just think from a safety reason, maybe it's a little bit different in Florida, but I would think for a safety reason, you got to be in a suite if you're the commissioner.
I'm getting a lot of new phone who this when I'm asking for these suite tickets now. These Stanley Cup final tickets are high.
Mm-hmm. Just tell them that when they ask you to go on the pivot, the answer is no.
You'll get.
Oh, you're part of the Fanatics now. Hit up Ruben. He'll get you.
Oh, Ruben can put him on the ice.
Yeah. Well, we'll see Crowder in the right wing spot at the opening faceoff.
Be on line 4.
Crowder's the only fan. Crowder's the only fan who's lost more teeth than the players.
Well, yeah, every week. Last thing I'll ask you. Crowder, are you going to get invited now to the Michael Rubin 4th of July epic white party? Will you get invited? To that?
I'm hoping. I think I don't get confirmed a lot, but I'm hoping because we did sneak into the what was it? The rookie premiere was at his house in LA, so maybe the guest list can stay the same and I can sneak in.
Well, there is a good chance that Drake may be there. So if you need a bodyguard to accompany you and your wife in case if something goes down, I will gladly volunteer my services.
You have a white linen suit, Gelb? You got something appropriate for the night?
Of course.
All right, just checking. Yeah. All right, Zach Gelb, listen to him on the Infinity Sports Radio Network. Appreciate it, Gelb. We'll talk to you next week.
All the love.